Sir.
Well, good evening and salutations, and welcome to episode number 122 of The Other Side of the Ball. Double A Chris and Corey coming to you live, and as you can see, Corey Hammond is channeling his force, if you will, not by way of the dark side, but maybe by way of the rebellion or the alliance. Who knows? That remains to be seen. But gentlemen, we are still on countdown, as we are indeed
Well, one of
27
you have
days.
27 days and one has 24. Which one is it?
Well, the 30th day would have been on Sunday the 16th. So,
Okay, so
but
yeah,
if you want to
16
go,
and 30.
if you
But
want to
there's
go
only
days
28
until,
days in February.
well, I mean,
I counted, so I was off because I didn't count the one extra day, maybe. But yeah, Dub. Yeah, February is only the 28th. So
Well, if you count today, it's actually 25. But I'm just
that's what I was saying. I wasn't counting today, so I was off as well. But yeah, semantics.
well,
It's
you're,
it's
you're
a
right.
it's a
You were right. It is not leap year, so there's that. And joining us from the coffee table, if you will, he's actually in the light tonight, not in the dark. That is one Shug Derek Light Duncan.
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now because my computer is tripping. It won't let me join from the laptop. So y'all get the intricate view versus the normal view. I'm gonna try to figure this out and jump on from the right thing here in a minute.
I don't know why it's not letting you link on. That's interesting.
No,
But-
it's completely my computer,
oh, okay.
which I'm willing to say, which none of you are willing to say when you have issues, but I understand that it's my computer that's the issue.
Hey, I got mine's fixed. Leave me alone.
Oh, good. What'd you do?
No, just like I've been saying, it needed a new hard drive, but I put a SSD hard drive in and not a HHD.
Well, I'm glad you got your S's and your H's straight.
Correct.
and Brian
good evening, Mr.
Benitez
Benitez.
and his avatar looks like when he made his appearance in the old studio, if I'm not
Sure
mistaken.
does.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's when he
that's
was with the Alienators and revealed that he was playing last season with OTT, and now looks like he has taken his colors and now has worn the green as he is now taking his talents to the Kryptonite, as of his latest post on his social media. So,
So should we tell him stay green?
well, I mean,
Well, he knows by now it's not easy being green.
no.
I mean, it's gonna be hard for him to stay black, right?
Blackface would not go over well. I'm just saying.
Well, that's not staying. That's converting. I mean, that flies in the face of the
Listen.
option of staying.
I stand behind the comic value of Tropic Thunder, but that's about as far as I'll go.
I also stand behind the comic value of Tropic Thunder. I think the role Robert Downey Jr. played in that movie was classic because he's just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
All I can say from
Well,
that is, what do you mean, you people?
One of the
What
greatest
do
roles.
you mean, you people?
One of the greatest roles RDJ has ever played. And that's, of course, adding his accomplishments playing Iron Man and a whole bunch of other characters. But that one was an absolute
And now Doctor
all-time
Doom.
classic. And now Otto Von Doom, yes, or Victor Von Doom, whichever Doom you want to incorporate. As
Well,
now
guys, you know, as usual, I'm gonna be jumping off here when my wifey gets home. So, you have anything that you got going on for me that you need cleared up that I can answer real fast before I get pulled off of the podcast?
Well, before you go do daddy duties, in regards to obtaining rosters for the upcoming season, who do we go through in regards to that?
It's going to be a guy named Eric Rankin, who's been added to a significant amount of our chats, provided everything comes through for him. If not, it will be Chris or myself until we find a specific person to fill that role.
Okay.
It could be Knox again. We haven't spoke since probably October in great length. We were talking all the time towards the end of the year, but he's trying to get his life right and making moves behind the scenes. I saw him post today a picture of himself in a Kryptonite uniform as well. So I don't know. Brian is sitting there. Maybe he can add to the chat, and maybe he's doing some good recruiting and picked up one of the better weapons of the league in Knox 25. So
3-on-1 killer.
yeah, that would be news.
The neutralizer returneth. Perhaps.
Well,
Some
there-
breaking news.
Guys, I had an interesting conversation with a player that will not be named to keep his anonymity. He may or may not have been a part of our top 50, and he may or may not be an integral member of the defending national champions. But there's a lot of movement and potential moves yet to be made, especially in the Vegas division. And I wanted to maybe open up the non, talking about completely unrelated topics of the show with definite free agent moves that you guys have had your eyes on that have kind of, got your radar up, because we're whether it's Dub, whether it's myself, whether it's something else, 25, 24, we're closing in. And, Vegas as a division has been infamous for a frenetic free agency literally weeks before the season. Just go back to when the Insomniacs first formed in their current form. But what are some of the more impactful kind of solidified off-season moves that you guys are seeing? Because I heard some rumors that could be interesting if true.
Well, I would say the biggest move that I believe we're going to get into later today is that Big Mac has accepted a more integral role with the Bonanza Bengals high school team and no longer will be the head guy for the Force. I don't know that there's any move bigger than that I'm aware of. I understand that we might be hearing from him later today, and that would be a great guest to have to talk about his time at A7 and give his feedback if that's actually happening. Coach Poe, who was I believe, offensive coordinator last season, is taking the reins. And, of course, Corey has on his Force shirt, or did before he went away just now.
Still using the Force.
Still supporting Dim Forces, as he likes to do.
Well, I'm wearing Dem Forces.
Yeah, and, as you said, nothing is concrete when it comes to the Vegas division and free agency. The young man who was on the show, or whose picture was on the show a moment ago, Brian Benitez, also announced he was going to the Force days before he announced he was running the Kryptonite. So, I mean, one is Star Wars based, the other is Superman based, and ne'er the two shall meet. But things happen.
I mean, they talk about planets far, far away, whether they're blown up or waiting to be blown up by a Death Star. Is
that what actually happened to Krypton? Was it blown up by the Death Star?
I mean,
It could have been Omega. It could have been Omega beams from Darkseid. We never know.
There's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah.
And look, if you go far enough, I think Scooby Doo and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are also a member of that same DC universe. So the ultimate crossover still pending.
No, they crossed over.
You're saying
They
Darkseid
have worked.
with Vader standing over his shoulder, blowing up Krypton?
I mean, is there any confirmation that Anakin Skywalker is not just Darkseid? I mean, it's too close of a parallel. Dark
He's a
side,
little,
dark side.
he's a little light in the face to be dark side. Just saying.
Well, pre getting charred to a crisp.
Yeah. Once you get cooked, you get darker, Chris. I mean, have you been in the sun recently?
If you've seen,
unless you're a Blaxican who cannot tan.
Blaxican? Yeah.
The voice of Darth Vader. I don't know if you've checked his melanin count, but James Earl Jones is not of the fair skinned variety either. So,
sir, James Earl Jones is not the fair skinned or anything right now because the man is dead.
Well,
but he played the character.
I had to go dark.
Well, you were real
exactly. We're talking about the dark side of the Force. We're talking about the dark side within the DC universe, and we're talking about.
Don't know the power of the dark side.
Let me bring this back to A7 real quick. So back when we were developing the logo for this show, when it was the other side of the ball, we were using the dark side of the moon reference, and now you guys just said the dark side of, and it just brought me back to that very lengthy conversation where we came up with this crazy logo, and then overnight Nick just gave us a new one. Like, here, we're using this one.
Yeah. Well,
Shout out to Nick Glaze, by the way.
Nick had the high ground there in that situation.
Yes.
So I'm interested to hear from Coach Mack. You do the stats in the Vegas division. No one as a coach has won more games, period. It might change this year, obviously. Shout outs to Coach James, who would probably be there.
I'm gonna call you on the carpet a little bit, man. And you asked us about the changes, but you said you heard some rumors, if you will. And so I want to know where you're going with that, because everybody seemed to kind of glaze over that, but I'm not one to do that. So
rumor has it.
All right, so you guys didn't hear this from me.
That's what dark.
Thus, he is hiding his face, hiding his credentials.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do this in the Tucker Carlson. I'm just asking questions way. So yes, I'm an asshole, much like Tucker Carlson a lot of the time in my own way. But I'm just asking questions here, because the questions I'm asking is who's playing quarterback for Sikwit? Because we just talked about last week, the person who's going to be represented by this little rectangle in a minute here when I turn the camera back on, Jeremy Geary, great player. He's got players moving on. I've heard rumors that because he doesn't have his offensive line, his guys, air quotes, you can't see them, I'm doing them with my fingers, may not be back. Also, a quarterback that we are really high on, who is a potential big name guy, especially for the future, is toying with staying with his current team or taking over in his stead.
So obviously Jeremy not possibly being back with Sikwit, and you're talking about Fox moving over to be with Sikwit?
Well,
now this is just rumor. It's basically I think it's an Adele song. Rumor has it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's the power from that chick in Beautiful Wife. What's that movie? What's that TV show on Netflix?
Social Club was the first one to do. Look at all these rumors, but I'm just saying.
The superhero TV show where they're a terrible family and they hate each other and they travel back in time and kill JFK and all that kind of stuff. Oh, The Umbrella Academy.
I'm not familiar with that one. Is that watchable?
Until the last season.
It's not watchable because he keeps turning himself up.
No, I'll address the question about the TV show. Umbrella Academy, really good show, especially first season. Second season, good. Third season, not great. Fourth season, they just were trying to get out of there.
And remember, Chris, Corey turns off his camera so he can drink Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, man, they ain't getting free advertising. Pay up.
I don't turn off my camera.
Speaking of, like and subscribe. And if you don't press the thumbs up button, but you watch the show, did you hate us? Like, what did we do? I know you hate me, but the rest of the guys didn't deserve it.
Or better yet, turn on your notifications to where you can be notified when we go on the air.
Yeah,
Therefore,
even
you can
better.
catch us right when we go on the air at 5:30.
You guys want an
Outside the Ball
even
Network.
juicier rumor?
Uh-oh.
There's a juicier one. Yeah, go ahead. Is it like a juicy grape? Go ahead. Let's hear it.
No grapes. Now, I heard from a source close to the team
Sis.
that the Insomniacs have a guy, may or may not have been in our top 10, a lineman guy, pretty big name in the league. He went and did the thing where I'm going to bring my friends. Him's got some friends that are some D1 guys that I've heard are a little bit monstrous. But the rumor also kind of has a little dovetail. A key factor in the decision-making body of that group of friends is hypothetically thinking of defecting from the defending champs. What? Vegas, you guys is insane, bruh.
Yeah, I haven't heard the second part of that. I only heard the first part.
Yeah, no, the first part is almost officially confirmed. I think there's video of the new guys for the Insomniacs, just a little bit of just not necessarily trouble in paradise, let's say, but I think somebody's looking to have other people in the DMs and such, because there's somebody that can drive the action, drive the movement, that he's potentially putting his key in the ignition and making a shift. So not sure if those are just rumors, if those are just kind of the jitters before a season, making sure that everybody's doing the right thing. But other than the solidified moves, which I think we could have plenty of time to talk about when the former coach of one of the integral teams kind of joins us and kind of gives us a little bit. Well, look, the solidified moves, I'm sure he can give us an opinion on. The solidified moves, like, for instance, we're talking about Dem Falses. Savion Cunningham, if true, moving from OTT to the Forces does a lot for both teams. It's a huge negative for OTT because when you go into an OTT game in the Vegas division, one of the things that if you're a member of Over the Top, you kind of go into the game knowing is that your team has a good chance to put some points up on the board, whether it's an offensive play or a 3-on-1 return. I'm getting choked up. Because they have a unique and elite playmaker in Savion Cunningham, him going to the Force, in my opinion, does a lot for the negative aspects of OTT, obviously, but also when you kind of include him in the offensive. Well, yeah, maybe they can get those couple of 3-on-1 returns, but what do you do offensively? Those guys are very good players in their own right, but I don't think you can easily replace a guy like Savion Cunningham with his ability to keep the defense just honest on hey, where is 8? But when he goes to the Force, I wonder what type of immediate impact a guy like Savion Cunningham can have with a system that is a little bit more structured from top to bottom. We're talking about Coach Mack.
I think you're missing something there, Corey.
Go for it.
And I think what you're missing on this is the fact that you have Webb already there as one of the playmakers on offense, and now you're adding a player like Savion at a wide receiver position / running back / slot receiver / returner. I think that when you start to look at those two players on the offensive side of the ball, those are two weapons that I can tell you right now, if Derek and I were still playing flag, I know you hate it, but whatever. If Derek and I were still playing flag and D is the quarterback, me as one of the receivers, and then those two on the as receivers as well, we know we're going into games ready to win. So I think that, while you're looking at Savion and we're talking about him in the light of him going to the Force, I think that you've also got to talk about the fact of what he brings to the table to pair with a web that is just off the chain already.
Well, and making the assumption that nothing else, in the rumors change.
Yeah. So I mean,
right?
that quarterback situation, if
Right.
true, and if they don't have, because my question mark is there a possibility where Gary and Fox switch teams? Is that a possibility? And if it is, then you're looking at a not that big of a drop off in my mind for the Force, as far as their quarterback is concerned, other than the pure athleticism of a Deion Fox. And
Or do the Force go back to Rock Briscoe? Because from what I'm hearing, hypothetically, if Geary is not going to be suiting up for Sickwit, it's because he's not going to be playing, right? I don't know. Again, these are just rumors, and nothing is set in stone until we hear from the parties involved. And look, we got a couple of weeks still to kind of hash some of this stuff out. My question about Savion Cunningham, because obviously when we look on paper, if this was like a video game, Savion Cunningham's overall and his speed and his ability and all that, but similar to when you have the idea of pairing up guys, especially on an offensive thing, and I'm going to go a little bit more basketball metaphor, but like for instance, if you have a Dwayne Wade and a LeBron James, obviously that should work. But in practice, sometimes when you have guys that have a similar role in an offense, and they kind of take up the same role in the exact same offense, and they take up the same space, and they do the same kinds of things. In basketball, it's worse, right? But when you have two dominant ball carriers or dominant ball handlers, and they score in the paint, now you gotta share the ball. So when you look at successful wide receiving cores around the league, especially within the division, you have guys that fill different roles. For instance, the easiest way to look at it is like Insomniacs have a possession and intermediate route guy, not that he can't do other things, but a possession and intermediate and timing route guy in Eric Schuford. And then they have the over-the-top guy that kind of breaks the top off the defense and is the big play guy in David Clark. Those two separate roles are very complementary and give the quarterback different options on even the same down, the same exact, play from scrimmage. You look at Sickwit, when you have a Darren Palmer and you mix in like a Betts and a Lavish T and a Lualamana or whoever ends up being the guy running those routes, you have the guy that's kind of going to run either the stop route, the out, the timing, or the
Corey,
possession route.
I know where you're going with this, and I couldn't disagree with you more.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, Jaden Webb and Savion Cunningham, to me, at least on the offensive side of the ball, kind of are very similar in play style.
They are, but what I think that some people fail to understand, especially when you're talking about from an offensive standpoint. Look, if I'm the offensive coordinator, I'm loving the fact of having two guys that can take the top off the defense at any given time. So what I'm doing is very simple. I'm putting them on either side of the field to start, and I'm moving them around, because as I move them around, you don't know who's going to try to take the top off the defense and who is going to go into the flats or who is going to just run a dig route. So those type of plays and those type of players, because the one thing that you cannot teach is speed. Granted, you can't teach it in football. You can teach it when you're talking about track and field. So bottom line is simply this. When you're talking about two players that have a lot of commonality, that is great. And some teams would look at that and say, well, shit, we got the same guys. How are we going to execute our offense? If it's me and you have two guys that play very similar styles of football, it's very simple. I'm going to make the defense make the decision. Who are you double teaming? Because we've talked about this. You and I have even talked about this. A lot of times in the A7, it's one-on-ones, right?
Yeah.
So it's very simple. you do not have to worry about the fact of these guys being very similar in their characteristics and what they bring to the team. What you need to worry about is their speed and capability. So if I'm the offensive coordinator for the Force and I have players like Savion Cunningham and I've got guys like a Jaden Webb that can both of them can take the top off the defense. Both of them can be my quarterback's safety blanket, and both of them can do a lot of the similar things. Well, the one thing that I notice and I know for a fact that Savion can do is head toppers, and he could out jump a lot of people. So
Oh,
I'm
Yeah,
not
he for sure.
worried. I'm not worried about the commonalities. What I'm
said
thinking
we were
about
sleeping
is
on
how can I use them to separate the defense. And the way I use them to separate the defense is on opposite side of the field. So that way you don't know who is taking you deep. You don't know who's running the dig route. You don't know who's running the crossing pattern. And those pieces get players wide open.
Who said we were sleeping on Webb?
Yeah, I don't know who in the hell you're talking about
Uh,
sleeping on Webb.
Well,
Webb
I
is
think-
actually in our top 50 as a wide receiver and
I
a
think-
corner.
I think what he's
So-
saying is that we're diminishing what his ability is. Oh, I am, because I'm the one who's kind of saying diminishing his ability. But that's the thing. Even in the comment, it says where does Webb usually attack the defense from the wide receiver position? He's not usually going to be in the intermediate to short routes. Now, obviously, like you said, Chris, when you're looking at the personnel, you
Mhm.
can make the adjustments and design the plays and the formations and the situations to do that. But what all I'm saying is that's not necessarily a bad problem to have.
Exactly.
Not having Savion Cunningham is worse than having Savion Cunningham if you're the Force.
I think
And shout outs to Justin Shepard, who's saying that Fox is not switching teams. Again, just a rumor, just something I heard. Right?
But see, and this is when we're saying about commonality and y'all sleeping on Webb. The fact of the matter is, I don't care if a guy has the capability of being fast and going deep. The fact of the matter is, if you are smart and if you are going to run an offense where you're going to take advantage of certain situations, Corey, you know this as a quarterback. If I know that I can stack a corner at any point in time, doesn't it also make sense to cut off my routes to be wide open for first downs? Doesn't it also because look, there is nobody even in the NFL that makes their living, even a Tyreek Hill does not make his living simply on going deep on every play. We know this. So it all depends on how you want to run your offense and how you want to run. So nobody's sleeping on anybody. So the commonality thing is great, but the bottom line is, how do you want to implement them on game day through their offense? And the one thing that I talked to Savion about, because you know, look, that's my dude. I love Savion. Have had many conversations with this young man, and the fact of the matter is, he just wants to get better. The fact of that is understanding the fact that you have to make sure that you understand the route tree. And it's not just about running the route tree. It's also about understanding your the componentry with running that route tree. What do I mean? What I mean by that is when to stack a cornerback, when to stem your route, and when to make your cutoff points so that way you're wide open. And both of these guys can do that if they want to.
Well, and to your point, to our commenters' point, I think that there's obviously things that these guys are going to be able to do. I think that they're able and capable of doing it. But the thing is that they have to work that in. It's not going to be.
It's not going to be.
I know. G, and I know a lot of the guys that have tried to have success with the framework of what OTT is, and Savion within the scheme and in the structure of that organization, it's basically just, hey, you just go do you. We're going to figure it out how to get you the ball. In a situation like the Force, and shout out to Justin Cool Case Shepard's comment, it is not sick, though. It is false, right? Put that comment up.
Hold on for because I mean, look, X's and O's is my forte, and I love talking about it. Everybody couldn't talk about football. I love the X's and O's type of deal when it comes to football, and I understand what you're saying about. And I'm talking about the comment that I have up right now. He's not saying about the differences. He's saying that we're just pointing out the deep routes. No, we're not. We're pointing out the capabilities of taking the lid or the top off of a defense. And we're also talking about underneath routes. And what I'm talking about, and I'll make it very crystal clear so that way there is nobody that is sitting here listening that is going to say, oh, well, you don't quite understand the forte of what can happen. No, I do understand. And what I'm talking about is the capabilities of, if you have a safety that's standing over the top and you want to take away that safety and make sure that you're running one-on-one, and that is simply what I said earlier, which is putting them on opposite sides of the field. So you can have Savion as an X, and you can have Webb as the Z receiver. And that way, when they run routes, if the Z takes off and runs a 9 or a go route, and you have Savion running underneath, he's going to create that automatic separation on a dig route. And that's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is understanding and utilizing their athleticisms against the cornerbacks that they're playing against. The only way for you to understand that and to do that is to have the offensive coordinator understanding what he has. And what he has is 2 very good athletic wide receivers, if not great, that both can do that job very simply and flip-flop at any given time. So that's what I'm talking about.
I think you've been on, I think, on his side, that it's easy to do, to incorporate both guys. My point isn't that it's a bad thing or that these guys are incapable, but just to kind of finish up the Savion to the force point, from my perspective, going from OTT, where there was kind of a laissez-faire attitude from the top down in, hey, we're just going to go out and figure it out and play football, to a structured organization like the Force, with a general manager in Troy, with a coaching staff that includes head coach, offensive coordinator, with Rock Briscoe, who likely will step into that full offensive coordinator role and have expectation for what guys are doing on each play, so that you're actually running a scheme and not just kind of feeling it out and doing whatever. I think that they're capable of it. I don't think that that's an issue. What I'm saying is the integration of a new player that's more from that backyard style into a structured offense with a player with a similar value in the scheme on the field at the same time in Jaden Webb. I think that that's one of the things they're going to have to figure out. And honestly, I think it's a great problem to have. And I'd like to hear from, pretty soon, we're probably going to be hearing from Coach Mack, who is a defensive-minded head coach. And since he's not a part of the Force anymore, even though he's still family, maybe we can get him to – we were talking about dark side before. Maybe we can get him into – get his opinion on the dark side of being part of the fake news media. Shout outs to Lamar Stovall from the Ohio division, who keeps saying that I'm part of fake news, which I guess maybe I am. I don't have a media pass to go walk around Super Bowl row or anything. But another move that I think is really important for Dem Forces is getting a guy in Justin Shepard, who I wanted to show. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it because he has work currently.
Hey, dude, call him by his nickname, man.
Cool Case or
that's my boy. Man.
Cool Case.
That dude is one of the guys that I will never ever say there's a cornerback that made a business decision ever.
Well, I mean, listen, he's in the gym enough that
he's one of those hard-nosed corners that's going to come at you, and I hope you're ready for it. That's all I'm saying.
We got a Dem Forces, making the jump to the best team. That could listen. There may or may not be a rumor that would make that 100% true. I digress. But going from the wide receiver edition to the corner edition. Now, who did Dillard Davis. I mean Gianni Breland. Sorry, Gianni, I have to continue the joke. Gianni Breland was with Sick, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, one corner from Sick, Gianni Breland, sightings at Insomniacs practice. So whether you call him Dillard Davis incorrectly or you call him by his actual name in Gianni Breland, he will now be going back to the defending champs. That's huge and kind of sucks for Sick. But Sick would
enlighten us on the pickups this season, because no, we have kept a lot of the stuff that is going on.
That's what the show's about.
Well, hold on.
That's why I'm wearing Dem Force's shirt.
A lot of the stuff that's going on as far as rosters are concerned under wraps. So if you want to be the one to let the cat out of the bag, be my guest. You can go ahead and start talking about it.
Ooh, Jonathan Clark. We will get to that. I think that I don't know if that cat is supposed to be out of the bag, but we're letting that's the name of this.
Hard to put it back in. Can't
that's
put the
name. Yeah, that's the name of this episode. Is just cats out of the bag. I think that they have the best defense. Well, to Michael McLean's point, and talk about losing Gianni Breland, Dillard Davis, whatever you want to call him, whether you want to be correct or lie, like our president, or losing the other on the other side in Justin Shepard, who I think was either 4 or 5 or 3 in our top corners of the season, and having Justin Shepard go to the Force. If the Force want to take the step up, which they do, I think what they need more than anything is a guy like Jonathan Clark, an offensive lineman that can be dominant, and we'll see what they add there. For their defense to add a corner that can really manage one side of the field, and I've seen it happen, be able to hypothetically at least be close to shutting down a dynamic receiver in a guy like Eric Shuford, which I've seen Justin Shepard do in that fall championship, albeit, now we're almost 3 years away from that. Force not going to recover from this one. I would like to hear some of the moves, Michael McLean, that we don't have out there.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he came on and the first thing that he said is right here. Did y'all see the pickups this season? Well,
and then we were literally mentioning the two big names, right?
Pickups that you got, and he has come back with nothing.
And Jeremy Revis is just letting everybody know that there's dogs in town and they're alpha wolves, right?
Nope. There is specifically 3 there.
Is that like a code?
No, that's saying Wolfpack.
Third champion.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's some dogs in the house and they're alpha wolves, right? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, 3 championships. So they got 2. They're going for the 3rd, and they're repeat. So that's why he's got 3 up there. And
we'll see.
Jeremy,
I like to see it,
man. Just go ahead and let me know. But that's what I'm reading.
Hey, listen. As long as they withstand the tide of that rumor that I was hearing about, I think they have a really good shot about it. Shout out to Jordan Davidson.
You said the rumor, but I didn't follow it 100%. So what you're saying is that they could be losing all of their offensive linemen? Is that what you're saying?
I was saying that there's a certain contingent of players that may or may not decide to shift the balance of power. I am not willing or able to divulge the specifics yet, Chris.
Well, how about this? Jeremy, you're on here. I'm calling you out by name. What's your take on what's going on with your offensive line for the Insomniacs? Go ahead and drop that in the conversation there in the comments.
Or we'll just put it like this.
I'm not saying that it's the offensive line specifically. I'm saying it's major players. So
if you're one of the head coaches on this show in this division and you've made some improvements to your roster, if you want the link to come on and announce that, let us know and we'll send you the link. So we don't have to play the Jeopardy music all day.
We'll send some links.
I'm kind of tired of hearing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. We asked Michael McLean to specify some of the other moves that were made, but we talked about Savion.
And he's not said a word.
We talked about Justin Shepard. I think they're
that
big
he is,
moves.
Cool Case. That he is.
Yes, he is a dog.
And I will say this. There are other moves obviously going on behind the scenes, but
Hold on.
Jaleel Hornbeak.
Think
Is that a Pokemon?
No.
Come on. That's definitely a horn. That's definitely a Pokemon. It might also be a human.
A manly human?
Don't believe the rumors. There you go.
Insomniacs by 40.
I appreciate you more than
listen,
you know.
So listen, he's likely not wrong in most of the weeks out in Vegas. Let's be clear. That's why I wanted Shepard on, because I felt like he would be, with his social media presence.
Look, Cool Case. If you off work and you on here,
yeah, I think he can't be. He can be on the phone. He can't be on the phone. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what he's saying, but I'm saying if he's out of work, man, he come talk to us, man. Talk to us.
I think we're going to get a little bit more forced talk. Dub, if you could check our chat just to make sure that we could do what I'm kind of prefacing here. We'll get a little bit more forced talk. Guys in the chat, give us what you want to talk about as far as free agency, whether we know or not. Isn't the case. A lot of the things we don't want to be the ones that break news, or at least in my opinion, we don't want to be the ones that break news, because that's individual guys' opportunities. We're taking stuff that's posted publicly, like Savion, like Shepard. If there's any other moves that are public or you guys want to spill the beans and be the one that we blame, we're more than happy.
Hey, don't listen to Corey. We're not going to blame you.
Nah. If you say some stuff out of turn that you weren't supposed to say, and we talk about it on the show because you brought it up, that's on you. Whoever the comments,
we ain't going to blame you. We're just going to
let's get those comments. Let's get comments. But I do want to jump back to something that Jonathan Clark said.
Tell me what's going on, man. I'm too old for the bullshit.
I do want to jump back though to what Jonathan Clark mentioned, is that there is a consolidation in we'll say the Midwest, with the teams from Ohio, and when we thought we were going to get a QC Crush, a Covington Heights, a Miami Phantoms, et cetera, there may or may not be a balance of power shifting so that the Ohio team is no longer a division of guys making the rounds, as it were. But I don't even know if we were supposed to say this, but he already broke the news. Ohio and Indianapolis may or may not be. Again, I don't want to be the one breaking the news, but according to Jonathan Clark, they're going to be part of the Northeast Division. So when you go from a division that has the chaos, the heist, the Northeast, crush,
so basically
the volcanoes,
they're going to be in the they're going to be with you guys.
Listen, hey, no. First of all, we don't mention that dead name here, the double V, and no slander about my guy Jordan Davidson, Michael McLean. We appreciate what you're saying here.
Cookies and cream can whatever, but anyway, what are we talking about, Corey? You're the one that's starting this.
Listen again.
And we know Vic is dead. It's cookies and cream. Let's get it straight. So, what are you talking about when you say
cookies and milk?
Cookies and milk. Sorry, I like cream personally, but we do call them ham. So, cookies and cream would not go over well. But what are you saying when you're saying that? Well, are they playing in your division? Yes or no?
From what I've heard, there is a chance that the QC Crush and the Indianapolis Octane will be included in the scheduling, we'll say, of the Northeast Division. Now this isn't something that's completely unheard of. When the Ohio Division first was formed, the Ohio and Florida divisions were one division, and those teams had to play each other by driving all the way up or all the way down.
Well,
to meet
all I'm saying is, if that is the case, and we've heard left and right, and no pun intended, because you like politics a shitload more than I do.
I don't like it.
No pun intended. All I'm going to say is, if that's the case, then we are going to find out what those teams are made of, especially if they're going to be playing BIC, the Watchmen, Animals, the U. That is going to be a very, very, very interesting dynamic, should that be the situation.
Listen, no, there should be a Boston division with 4 teams. So the guys from Boston, right?
You said that's what we're hearing, so I'm just following with that and saying should.
Well, here's the thing: when you're talking about fielding, the fact who I there, Cam is going to take care of those trolls on his own. And like I said, there will be no Jordan Davidson slander here. If you have an opinion about guys who play in the league, feel free to let us know in the comments. Again, Jordan Davidson is a fan of the show, weekly guest in our comments, giving us a lot of good insight about the Ohio division. And Michael McLean, we're happy to have you, and you're welcome to your opinion. But I don't know, we're not talking about Jordan Davidson's specific ability to play football. The Ohio division, if they can't field enough teams to have an interdivisional season, then guess what? They got to play more than just the 2 games against each other. So
all right, well, then we'll see what happens, because
it's not unheard of, because they made those Ohio guys drive to Florida, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
and they said,
guys,
and I heard,
guys.
yeah, I know, I see who's ready to come in. So let me just skip this out, and I'm
point.
done.
Okay,
But all I'm saying is, if that's the case, we'll find out how good these teams are, because they did not have a chance to play the East Coast teams and show what they're made of. Now they do. But Corey, hold on. Before you go anywhere, we've got a special guest.
Do we have a special guest?
Yes, we do.
Please take it away.
All right, joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, formerly the head coach of the Las Vegas Force of the last 3 seasons, who is now putting his focus into the Bonanza Bengals, but joining us nonetheless is Coach Mac. Coach, we appreciate the time. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, fellas.
There's a division champion coach of the Vegas division and the current leader in coaching wins as a coach in the division. Coach, I wore the shirt. We were trying to get a current.
Oh, right on. Okay.
It's funny. What's funny is like many of my good relationships in the A7FL, including a fan of the show, Jeremy Rivas in the chat. Coach Mack and I actually started on rocky ground, as always with me.
You did.
Because I try not to be an asshole.
Why did you start on rocky ground with everybody on the West Coast? Except
for Rock Briscoe, who is, I've always said, while active, was my favorite quarterback because he's older than I am. But I digress. So, Coach, first of all, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. Now, obviously, your perspective is very unique because you are both very close to the team that is at least the topic of the conversation, especially in the Vegas division. But also now you're outside of that realm, so maybe you can give us a little bit more of your own type of opinion, because it's not like an in-house thing that you're just I know you're an old-time football coach, and unlike other coaches that have once disgraced or graced that division that want to be a part of the media and talk about refs as if they're the problem.
Hey, Coach.
You're a professional, right?
Tell Corey to be careful about that old time.
Right.
Listen,
right.
I'm old time. I'm Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino saying, "Get off my lawn." Let's be honest.
You were still young compared to me and Coach. I'm just.
Yes, you are.
Listen,
you were still what we would call a whippersnapper in our life.
But to be clear,
would be concerned when it comes to you, bro. You are not old.
Well, with coach's decision in hairstyle, I have much more gray hairs than he does. Not
Oh
considering
wow!
the facial hair. Not considering the
You
facial
have hair.
Well, I mean, listen. If you got to take it, you got to
You're
take
the
it. all. You
only
gotta take
one.
it all.
You're the
Hey,
only
where
one
are
on this panel that has hair. You're the only
All
one.
right.
So you better enjoy it.
I heard there's a conspiracy theory that I wear wigs, but I digress. So, Coach, now that you're a member of outside, we could almost say that showing up on a podcast, you're a member of the media. Let me just ask you a couple of questions about your tenure as the coach of the Force. Now, obviously, more famously than maybe the second and third year was your first year, the inaugural year in the division, in which if we were to really kind of like granularly go over that coaching job was great because yes or no, you guys started off with I think a couple of tough losses early in the year, and you had to kind of bounce back to win that division championship that first year, right?
Yeah. We kind of struggled out the gate a little bit, and then just got our ducks in a row, hit the ground running. You know, so yeah, it was a rocky start, getting everybody together, um, figuring out practices, and with this level of football, you can never know what type of talent you have right away. So it took us a while to figure out what we had, and we ran with the second half of the season.
Yeah, and obviously, running off the victories that you did led you to, and unfortunately, I apologize, I wasn't there to call that game. I was in Delaware throwing 4 touchdowns against the DC Buzz, so my bad. But then you famously became the first coach to win your first game on New Jersey soil from another division. Tell me about how embarrassing the Snow Tribe is and how thankful you are that they don't exist anymore. No, I'm just joking. But what was it like kind of being a part of this kind of new league, at least to you guys out in Vegas, making that journey to New Jersey and coming out victorious in that first week in the playoffs against the Rawway Snow Tribe?
I think it was just the fact that it was a whirlwind. Really, we once we won our division, and had to go out there. It was one of those things that uh, Derek put everything together real quick, so we had to act on the fly. But I think we really didn't have nothing to lose. Nobody expected us to be there in the first place. Nobody expected us to win outside of Las Vegas. So we went up there, not really had a chip on our shoulder. We're just new guys on the block, and everybody underestimated. So we're able to show up, and it was a prize fight. And the cat thought that he could swing with us, and come to find out we were the bigger puncher. Simple as
Yeah.
that.
Well,
So
and
I
go
got a
ahead.
question
Go
for
ahead.
you.
Sure.
So
Sure.
this is gonna be a stinger for the guys on the East Coast, and I really don't care. The fact of the matter is, what do you see, or what did you see going out there for your first time? What was the difference between East Coast and West Coast?
I think East Coast played with a little more flair. I think a little bit more of what we're seeing now on the West Coast is that flag football type of uh, program. So they spread it out a little bit more. Even though Snow Tribe was big and wanted to run the rock, they didn't run it in the traditional way. We just made our offensive defensive off a regular 3-4 defense, 4-3 defense, and our offense is similar off of pretty much a wishbone style defense. We just broke it, took away a few players to play it. We knew that those guys had been doing this for a minute, and they put together schemes that they try to confuse us and all that. We just showed up to play football, and I think we just had better athletes. To be quite honest, it wasn't really the fact that they did anything crazy that we weren't used to. We just had better football players, plain and simple, in my opinion.
So wait, let's back that up just a little bit, because
Sure.
I kind of like what you said. So you said a little bit more of, and I'm only doing this for my co-host right here.
You're gonna step in it
Say-
though.
Did
be
you
careful
say?
how far you push
I'm
this
sorry.
because
You,
I
don't
wasn't going to
listen-
mention the
don't
next
listen to
week.
Corey. Don't listen to Corey. Don't listen to Corey. Did you just say a little bit more flag type of plays?
I do.
Yeah, and
I
he
said
doesn't,
exactly
and he
that.
doesn't like it. And then he praised how his team was able to play real man's football because he's a real man's coach. And by the way, Michael McLean, not to be rude, my guy, thanks for joining the show. If you just joined the show this week, last week we went over the top 50 players in the A7FL in 2024. So if you have a question,
Corey,
wait
to your
and
point,
do
no,
that.
Corey, to your
Right, go
point,
ahead.
3 of the top 10 and 3 of the top 5 players were in from Vegas.
I think it was 7. I think it was 7 of the top 10 were
No.
Vegas.
I'm just saying 3 of the top 5 players
Yeah.
were Vegas players.
Yeah, and to be clear, none of them are, and his name is not, we're not doing that name. None of them are specifically Jordan Davison. A, Michael McLean. B, stop being rude. We're talking to Coach Mack. What are
Exactly.
you doing?
You
But-
want to
all right,
throw
so-
questions out there, throw questions at Coach Mack.
So I thought, Coach, I thought Chris was going to go into the New Jersey to Vegas comparison, and then I was like, "Be careful! I wasn't even going to mention the next week after Snow Tribe, so don't even do it." Nah, but he did the flag thing, and look, he likes flag. I like football. I don't like flag. It's weird.
because I had to say that because
No, that's fine.
Coach Mack and I are around the same age. We ain't gonna say Coach Mack and I are just shit.
Yeah,
Ain't gonna do nothing.
this
He
guy,
understands where I'm going with that,
this
and
guy
he
over here
understands.
isn't a flag guy.
He
This guy,
understands. No, Coach Mack understands
yeah,
what I'm
Florida
talking
top
about
five.
when I say that flag football used to be a lot like what we see right now in A7. It ain't the same. When I played flag, and the guys playing or standing behind me in this picture, they were much different back then than what you see now.
I don't want to talk about flag. I don't want to talk about flag.
Of course you
Good
don't.
luck. Good luck in the Olympics, guys that are doing this stuff, trying to not get hit. Football's about hitting. Sorry. So that kind of goes over year one, right?
Hold on.
No,
Let me
I don't want
just
to do
say this.
flag. I don't
No,
want to do
hold
flag.
on.
This isn't a
Let me
flag
just say.
show.
Let me just say
He's
this.
talking about the question that was asked to him, Corey.
Yes. Just
That's
hold
fair.
on, Corey. Let me just say this, Mike. If you want to know who's my top 5, go watch last week, bruh. We already told you that. Go watch last week and stop asking dumb questions. Anyway, go ahead.
So that kind of covers year one, right? And year one for you guys was obviously successful. Then what happened is the fall. You know, I've had my public opinion about how you guys kind of as an organization look at fall, whatever. And then the Insomniacs exist, and then Sickwit exists, and then the Force. Really, you guys didn't really take much of a step back, but there was a group of, dare I say, maybe super teams, maybe just really talented teams. I'm not sure, but whatever. And then, there was a leapfrogging of the Force, but you guys still obviously maintained that same level of competition. People forget that sick Force game, not last year, but in the playoffs, in your guys' second year, how competitive that game was.
Both games.
Well,
Yeah.
specifically the playoff game, but yeah, definitely in the regular season as well. And now, one of the things I want to kind of talk about is from a coach's perspective, and you're mostly a defensive coach and a what is it, a strength and
Conditioning coach. Yeah,
So
bro.
so obviously we could see that, especially in year one when you had the sledgehammer in RTC. And it's funny, you were talking about offense. The Insomniacs will still run that jet action dive afterwards with RTC. They stole that from you. That formula works. Why switch it? But now kind of like as an outsider perspective, looking back on year 2 and year 3, one of the conversations that comes up a lot on the other side of the ball is the progression and hypothetical top end ability of the quarterback that currently, we'll see what the rumors say, plays for your former team in Deion Fox. Now, I'll let you take control, but we all see what we can kind of tangibly understand in what he puts on film. He's one hell of an athlete. He's got the size and frame that you look for, whether it's A7FL, NFL Division I, Bonanza High School, right? That's what you want in that position.
Right.
And he has the arm talent. So he's not just one of these guys that's just running around looking for a lane and taking it.
Right.
What is your perspective now that you're kind of an outsider on who De'Aaron Fox has been and what you see him becoming as his career progresses in this league?
Deion, obviously, he's a prototype. He's a freak athlete. He's a smart kid, and he wants to do well. I think, his first year fully starting, I think we didn't have we had two different offensive coordinators, so he was getting things from two different perspectives. And I think he was on a learning curve because he was also trying to get into these other leagues and stuff. So he was working with another quarterbacks coach, I believe, and trying to learning other systems so he could go on these pro workouts. So I think it kind of clouded his ability or his judgment a little bit, but just strictly dealing with A7. So when we first started, especially last year, his slow progression, he got hotter towards as the season went on. Because I think we had more of a one direction. He knew what the coaches that were coaching him, and he was more comfortable with what we had going. The sky is really the limit for Deion. Great kid, great family man. He's got that Patrick Mahomes type of personality, but but he's cool at the same time. Not really a square like Patrick Mahomes tends to portray himself. Exactly. So nothing but the sky's the limit. And I think I kind of did Deion a disservice by not being more forceful on the offensive side of the ball, having one direction that we should have went in. So I think I held him back a little bit with my lack of coaching on that side. But I think as long as he gets with the right coaching staff, the right coordinator, which I think we have still over there with the Force, I think this year you're going to see a big step up if he continues to go with the Force.
Well, I'm going to ask the question, Coach, because I know that I listened to Corey and I listened to what he was saying. And I think that one of the questions that I have is in my mind, all right, and it's not really, it's going to be like my thought and then a question. But the piece that I see missing from Deion's game is his capability to be the leader. And it's not a negative, all right, because he's a young man. And I want you to understand that when I'm saying this, it's not the fact that I think that he can't do it. What I think is that he needs to take, and this is my question to you and see if you agree, but my thought is he needs to take that next step to be that leader. I think that he is working his way into being the leader of the offense, but I don't think he's there quite yet. Your feelings on that?
To be quite honest, I have pretty much separated myself from the Forces of this offseason altogether because I've been so involved with my new coaching duties and everything I had at the high school level. But talking to Troy and seeing some things that way, I think you're right. I don't think he felt comfortable the last couple of years with Rock being the guy, being this coordinator, and everybody knows Rock's a fiery guy, and so I think there was a little bit of discomfort there between the two of them, and I think he was apprehensive to take that next step to supplant totally Rock. But I think now that we're, the future is kind of written with him, I think you're going to see him come full circle, being that leader, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but being that leader for the Force and the genuine face of the program, if he wants to be it, because he shows all that fire, all that leadership in practice, and the practices that I've seen last year. But like I said, we still have Rock in the foreground and Coach Pro in the background as well, and so I think he didn't feel that he could be a leader. But I think now with me stepping back and all that stuff, that leadership, more of that leadership role is being placed on him. And he's ready to accept it now.
So the reason that I said what I said, and I'm going to go a little deeper in this because I want you to understand it a little bit more and where I'm coming from. So
Yes.
my thought on Fox was he's a young man. He could be the face of A7FL because of his age and what he's able to do, and because of his youth. All right. So those were the things that I was thinking about, and his athleticism. Let's not forget that piece of it, because to watch him throw the ball the way he did against, and trust me when I say this is no knock. So anybody out there that's thinking I'm knocking the Insomniacs, I'm not. But his capability of falling backwards and being able to throw the ball 45 yards in the air with no problem
With ease.
tells me a lot about his arm strength. But what I'm getting at is, here's a young man that's starting to understand his capabilities. Here's a young man that's starting to understand what he's able to do. And what I'm asking from you is to give us an understanding as to an inside look of the mentality of a Fox. Now, Mr. McLean said he's the best in the A7FL. What I'm going to say
Out of the division,
against that is the fact that he is not the best yet. Could he be? Very big possibility. He's not the best yet. What I'm saying is, with this young man's capabilities, with his athleticism, with his arm strength, what do you see? What is your future vision of what Fox could be in the A7FL?
Everything you said, all the pejoratives you said about him on the positive side. I mean, he definitely can be, and he has positioned himself to being the best player and the best quarterback in this league. As far as arm talent and physical talent, I didn't from the quarterbacks I've seen this. I'm not knocking any of the quarterbacks I've seen in this league. He has more of a NFL talent that can actually play on Sundays. You know, there's a lot of other guys that can move around. They have aspects of a Sunday quarterback. He actually can be a Sunday quarterback. So, and I think now that he has more of a focus on A7 and less of a outside focus on trying to make these other leagues, I think we're going to see that again. I think he's going to be that guy as long as he has the cast around him. I'm not saying that he needs to have a super team around him. He just needs to have some weapons around him to get the ball too. I'm on to be honest. Over the last couple of years, I've never had a 6'4" field stretcher with the force. You know, I've always had these smaller guys that could get into crevices, catch the ball, turn and go. If we had a big guy that could stretch the field, you would have seen a lot more out of Fox last year. He would have tore it up. You know, so I think there are things that, and since my mentality, I'm an old West Texas football coach. You know, the running game's always been our thing, and when he came along, it was more of a let him tuck it and run before he could throw it. Now I think with me not being there, we're going to a real A7 style offense. He's going to be slinging that thing, tucking it and running when he needs to. He's going to be slinging that thing all over the field. He's really going to surprise some people.
Well, if there's a 6'4" field stretcher wide receiver depot, let me know where that address is. I'd be happy to apply for my own. Now, someone I had Dondre Haynes. Well, I mean, listen, I don't think David Clark is going away unless somebody else tells me otherwise. But I don't think those guys grow on trees. But what I want to then go to is obviously as a successful coach at a lot of different levels, one of the jobs as a head coach, coordinator.
Just real quick, QC, just so you know, everybody who comes on here and says, look out for so-and-so, we always watch players. It is not a knock.
Look out for everybody.
We watch everybody that's out there.
Yeah.
But until you've actually made a name for yourself in this league, and in this division, it's nice to bring up people to watch out for, but you got guys out there, quarterbacks out there, like a Scott Hamilton, like a Deion Fox, like a Jeremy Gary, like
Maybe.
some of these guys that are not people to look out for. These are guys that have already done it. So you can tell us to look out for anybody, and we appreciate that. But trust me when I say, if they're that good, we will step up and take notice. Go ahead, Corey. My bad.
So again, one of the jobs as a head coach coordinator is to assess in realistic type of terms and the realistic situation is assess what your team is, what they may or may not succeed at, struggle with, right? Part of being a coach is being able to assess, to then add whether it's the scheme or the practice regimen or the workout regimen to improve. So now that you're distanced yourself from the Force and you were with them for a solid 3 seasons in which you obviously won a high clip almost all of your games except for the couple here and there. Looking back, knowing that you're a successful coach, that you had to do this. What are some of the things that when you assess the team honestly, that you would want them to be able to improve upon moving into this new season so they can take that leap, not just from the quarterback position, because I think we got that situated and finally tuned and figured out, whether he becomes what he's supposed to or stays where he's at is a good question. But what would be your assessment of what the Force need to do to take that next step so that they are either on the same or a higher level than the teams that they've been kind of running into and failing against in the past couple of seasons?
I think simple answer to that's player consistency, and of course, what everybody struggles with at this level is practice consistency. We have, the coaches there now have schemes in place. It's really hard to get these guys to coordinate their schedules in order to practice. And that's probably that's the biggest thing. But I think besides that, we had, especially last season, we had a carousel of players coming and going. And it gets difficult for somebody like Dion or somebody on the defense side of the ball to play consistently with the same players. Because if you're a safety, you have to know what your corners are doing. You get a feel for playing with those guys. If there's a new guy there every week, the safety can't be as effective. Same thing with Dion, with his weapons. Every week, he might have a different running back or a different receiver because either the individual didn't show or the individual didn't, was having a bad day, was mad at me as a coach or something, decided not to play. So I think for the Force to take that next leap, we need to have consistency with practices, and we have to have consistency with players. The same players who can show up every week, put in that same work, and I think playing together like that. Because I noticed one thing about the Insomniacs that I respect the hell out of them. Don't like a lot of their players, and I know a lot of them don't like me. That's fine. That's what competition is. But a lot of those guys know each other. A lot of those guys know about playing with each other. Sick was the same way. They had guys that played flag together for years, and it showed. And when we lined up, sure, we had great individual talent, especially across the front four. But the problem was these guys weren't used to playing with each other. It was different guys every week. Consistency really matters at this league. And we see that, even on the East Coast with some of those big time teams, those guys have been playing together for years. And because that's why they're so good. So once the Force gets that on a regular basis, we're going to be that upper tier team, but never make it to the next level. But once we get that consistency, and with a guy like Fox that could change the game, the sky's the limit for this team.
So what you're seeing and what you've seen is that talent wise, player for player, the Force have the guys in the room that they need, or is there maybe a position group that they may look to upgrade if they're really being serious about it?
Like I said, I don't know what I'm not 100% on what the current staff is right now, but
Right.
if it's the same or similar to last year, where we're hurting, like I said, it's those outside receivers and cover corners. There's what I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Foot, the Kendrick. He's a dog that could cover, but he doesn't have the coaching consistency, and he doesn't have a safety to help him out. Once we have those bookend corners that could cover deep, and on the other side of the ball, those receivers that can take it deep. Everybody's going to pack the for the run game against us. That's what we know what we're going to do. We have real big offensive linemen. We have real big backs. We have a real big quarterback. It's obvious what people know we're going to do. Until we're able to stretch the field and cover on defense, we're going to be a 2-3 team instead of a 1-2 team.
Well, the two of the biggest.
I got one last question for you. I know Corey's been asking a few. I got one.
Oh no, what's up, man?
Just got one last question for you that I would like, because I'm looking at some of the people in the chat, but I'm not going to go off of the chat. What I want to know from
they're having their own little conversation in there. Go
what
for
I
it,
want
though,
to know
guys. Have
from
fun.
you, because you've seen it, you've been there, you've seen it firsthand. What I want to know from you is, very simply, who is the best team your team has played against while you were coaching?
The Insomniacs. The Insomniacs.
What was he going to say? BIC? Fuck.
He could have.
Now, I had to think about that because BIC was tough. But again, and of course they've won many championships. But BIC had if I had more time and my guys were ready, better prepared, I think that first year that we could have given BIC a better run. It blew us out the water. We would have given them a better run. The Insomniacs, per man, just said the last year's team of the year just has so much talent at every position that it was really difficult to game plan against them. It was one of those things that we lined up. The way we went to go face them was to line up, and my big guys against their big guys, and who's the toughest. But the problem with doing that, we can match up front, but once Scott started connected down up deep, there wasn't a whole lot I could do, and I couldn't turn around and throw it deep. Even though Dion had the talent to do it, I just didn't have the receivers to go get it.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, you guys played week 1. That game was a game
very
until I
competitive.
think the fourth.
It was, but you saw it was the big plays that hurt us.
Well,
Six big plays in that game.
It was that first interception that kind of like you guys were behind the eight ball.
Yeah. But
and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean the BIC thing was just an absolute massacre.
Yeah, but you got to understand too, Corey, that the whole travel arrangements and all that stuff that came with
that's definitely a big
came with BIC. I mean, the day we got there the day before, didn't really have any practice time. It was there was a lot of other things in the background going on with that. I think we would have been competitive. We would have got there a couple of days earlier. We had a little bit of time to practice. We ate the right stuff instead of Gino's steaks, cheese steaks. So I think there was some things in the background. I'm not saying we would have been super competitive, but we wouldn't have got blown out the way we got blown out. I can assure that.
And you guys had RTC then, and then you had Rock, and then you switch out RTC, no RTC, and then you have Fox. So it's interesting. I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I mean, obviously, you look at the championship game, the Insomniacs blew out BIC, so it's not even close.
Right.
So
one point blowout. So
Corey, one last question, Coach. Dub, you got one last question, Coach?
You ask yours, Chris, and then I'll ask mine.
I have my last question. I just don't want to keep them for too long.
And just real quick with the comments, does Daniel Oakley play for the Insomniacs? Because if not, we should just get him a wolf costume. He seems like a great mascot.
Was that your last question, Corey?
No, that's my bullshit asshole comment to the commenters.
I'm just curious.
No, but I did want to follow up with one of the things that Coach Mack said because guess what? Coach Mack said, hey, if I'm adding hypothetical guys, wide receiver, playmaker, lockdown corner, guess who they added? Guess what the whole first part of this show was? Coach Mack, what do you think about adding a guy in Justin Shepard, who I'm sure you're aware of in the Vegas scene, but also Real House Husbands of the Insomniacs. Daniel Oakley, that is a well-placed, self-deprecating joke, and I really love that. Corey I already talked to one of your players today, Scott. Chill out. I already know that them Nebraska boys and D1 guys are showing up. But we're talking, guys, commenters, we're talking to Coach Mack, please.
Ask your question.
What do you? No, I did, and then I got sidetracked. What do you think about adding Savion Cunningham and Justin Shepard when what your hypothetical move that you would have made would be add wide receiver, add corner? They did. Is that enough?
So me and Justin go way back. I coached him when he was with the Lions. Justin's a safety, not a corner. If anything, he's a safety. He comes up and he's a safety, not a corner. Savion is an incredible athlete. So adding both of them to any squad is going to up the level of talent on any team. But I would, if anything, I would. If I was running the defense again, I would put Savion in that corner, and I'll bring Justin on the inside to help play the run and maybe over the top help every now and then. But he's more of an in the box safety than he is a cover corner.
Coach Mack, you can't even help yourself. You just put both of those guys on the defensive side and said, "Screw you, offense." I'm stealing Savion. I
would put Savion, but I've never seen I don't know if Savion can run a route, but I know he's blazing fast and he catch a rock and go with it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely he'd be returning all my kicks. But as a defensive guy, I want him to cover the best receiver and take it to the house and pick sixes. That would be my his role on my team. I will lock him down with the number one receiver and tell him to go to the bathroom with him.
Coach Mack, defensive coach,
Sure.
Savion, stop playing offense. Don't
That's
return.
right.
Don't
go where the
return.
money is.
Go over there and cover. Cool case. Go hit somebody.
Yes, exactly.
You got the honor of the last question. What do you have for Coach Mack before we let him go?
Really, just a two-part question. What did you enjoy about coaching the ASNFL, and what will you miss about the ASNFL now that you're on the outside looking in?
I think the biggest thing I missed the most is it was new. It was new, so it was fun. It was new for Vegas, and it was something that I have, paid attention to for a while. And I once it got here, I knew I had to be involved. So that was the thing that got me interested. What I'll miss the most is probably just game day. I got those same. I think one of the reasons why I'm separating myself from it is because I just wasn't getting those same butterflies that I got while I was playing or when I coached at the high school level. So I think those first 2 years and most of the third year, I really was getting those butterflies. So I really missed that being Jack. If anybody, you talk to any player that I've coached that's been around me, I am as intense as anybody else. And it's because, I'm a former linebacker. So I've been hitting the head a bunch of times and kind of crazy, and everybody knows that. So I bring that type of energy to game day. And so that's probably what I'll miss the most. because I just wasn't able to give that to them any longer. So, those are the two things, man.
Well, Coach, it was great having you on the show. We appreciate your time. We appreciate what you're doing. And go coach some of these young men so that way they could come play in the A7FL.
Yes, all the best at Bonanza High, Coach. Appreciate the time.
And
I
now,
appreciate
and now you're officially, we can talk about Dark Side a lot. You're officially part of the Dark Side. Wait to
Oh,
get your
shit.
media pass, and we will be calling you potentially from time to time to hear what you have to say, criticizing, maybe praising, also criticizing.
We would love to have him in the booth for one game. No.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Coach, come on up. Come on.
You got it. I might take y'all up on that.
I mean, him talking about the defensive side of the ball, and then Chris talking offense. I'll just,
And then Scott
Hey,
making a booty joke.
just hit me up. You're always.
I appreciate you, fellas. Thank you. It's been a
Let's go back.
blast.
Have a good
Take it
night.
easy,
man.
Hold on, y'all take it easy.
Let's go back as we
right.
wrap up here. Let's go back to for the guys who comment that were in our top 50. Instead of their picture, it should be their number on the top 50. So let's go back to our number 3 player. Something he said as I was coming at Oakley. Which look, Oakley took care of himself. He said more than I could have ever said. But we got a situation here with number 3 player in the league. I just wanted to mention, I mean, no difference than the way you ride the East Coast teams. Shrug, crying emoji, Eric Shuford. First of all, congratulations for being our number 3 player in our top 50. And I do apologize for how East Coast heavy our list was when we only had 7 of the top 10 guys were from Vegas. I apologize that was the case. And no team had more guys than the Insomniacs. So I apologize for it not being all 14 of the starters, my guy. And remember, I picked you guys, just so we're clear, I picked you guys against the Nightcrawlers when everybody was all over the light green and, we'll say, darker colors of that Tampa team. So yeah, I have zero love for Vegas. Apparently, I am riding East Coast teams as I ride into battle against them, and I am currently talking shit to them as we speak on those. We ain't talking about yo list goofy. We talk about you on broadcasts. Okay, well, congratulations for still holding on to that. I apologize for being such a big part of your life, Eric Shuford. Hopefully this season will fill that empty hole in your heart because I didn't glaze you during the championship game. My bad. So guys, before we get into a war with the comments, which I think would probably be fun, we're just better. Yeah, you guys blew out BIC. The offense played great. The offensive line definitely blocked the defensive line perfectly, and your quarterback threw for less yards than I did on an 0-7 team against BIC. But guys, is there any other comments before we get into an all-out war with our fans?
Just know that March 16th in 25 days, season 11. So, 1 3-peat did not happen in one football league. Will a 3-peat happen in this football league in the 11th season of the American Sevens Football League? Again, check us out on March the 16th. One thing we do know, the defending champions will open up defense of their title against Sick-Wit as the rivalry is renewed yet again. Please check acenfl.com for listings and stations of where you can watch this exciting brand of football known as the A7FL. And thank you, Munchie, for gracing the poster.
That's interesting. I'm seeing more people on here that I have not seen before. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we love the fans.
I have no idea who Three Musketeers is. Anybody?
Me neither. But listen, don't just watch and comment. That's that guy who probably keeps changing his name because he's, doing whatever. But that's great. No one said that, Scott Hamilton. No one said that, right? I was being sarcastic, right? I was a big part of making that list of all those guys.
Final thoughts, gentlemen, as we are 25 days away from opening day in the league.
Go ahead, Corey.
You want me to start off? Well,
Yep.
let's say this. I think that the Insomniacs, of the teams that have had the chance to three-peat, they may have the best opportunity, because what's interesting about the Vegas division is, for whatever reason, there is a lot of turmoil really, really close to the beginning of the season. You think about 2 years ago. Listen, I love it. I actually think that it's fun. Eric Schufert, and if anyone deserves to talk shit to me directly, it's you. And shout outs to Dub for, while I'm trying to have an argument with you, throwing your mean mug face up as a perfect reply. That what the fuck am I going to say to that?
No, just a reminder of the season's on March 16th. That's all.
You knew what
That's
you were
it.
doing, Dub. You fucking bastard. No, I'm just joking.
Love
No,
you too, Corey.
no, it's sincerely not doing the kayfabe where I have to be an enemy or any of that shit. But if you look at what's happening hypothetically in the division, the Force are adding, but to what effect? I mean, we even heard just Coach Mack kind of say that, hey, they need a wide receiver in a corner. I said, hey, they just added it. Do they seem complete? He took the wide receiver, kind of to my point, put him at corner, put the corner and put him at linebacker. So we'll see. Maybe that's why they're not letting him coach anymore, because they're like, yo, you're going to take Savion and put him on defense? Get the fuck out of here. No, I'm joking. Coach Mack is a legend in this league, and he's definitely a pioneer for sure. But I would say that the Insomniacs coming into the season, if all holds, if they're adding the guys that they're adding, which I think is huge, because when you talk about, I'm bringing guys, I just had a conversation with somebody that reminded me of when we talked to a Insomniac, RTC, in the fall, when he was saying, I'm bringing my guys, which I think was the first time I ever even seen Eric Schufert, when the pit bosses were the talk of the town in the fall. And RTC says, yeah, well, hold my chow mein. I'm bringing my guys. It was the first time I ever saw somebody say, I'm bringing my guys, and they actually show up and be guys. So that's going to be something definitely to watch. But I will say this, the reason that teams, including the Chiefs, including the Lakers, remember the 2000s Lakers, and they should have beat that Detroit Pistons team? Somehow
2004.
fumble the bag.
Well, they did, because
there is a really tough thing to overcome when you're going for a three-peat, because the monotony of success can sometimes be a detriment. I think, and by the way, I called it, not as prophetic as Scott McCorkle with the 3-on-1 return, but I called it in the regular season that it was just too easy for the Insomniacs, that sick game was one that I circled as a potential spot for them to wake up. And guess what? When that alarm went off, they smacked that shit and went to work, and then became the team that we know who they are, and they became who they be. If the Force are that team to push them, I think that would be awesome. But if Sickwit hypothetically loses Jeremy Geary, and they're not able to replace both the guys that they lose to the professional leagues, a quarterback that led the league in passing. Hold up. You talked enough, CP, on your bullshit. Let me just finish. We're about to end the show.
Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to
No, you're fine.
and,
But
I love y'all.
I don't appreciate it, bro. But I don't think that I've seen a team that's in a better position to hypothetically take advantage of that three-peat, because if the Insomniacs take shit serious and they handle business within the division, they might have a similar path, and let the Northeast, including Tampa, including the Ohio teams, kind of fight it between themselves. Insomniacs have the inside track, but I will say this.
I promise my final thought will not be this long. I promise.
Oh no, I have my bad, but whatever. I think the most dangerous thing for the Insomniacs is the complacency of success. And I always go back to the Dark Knight movie, The Dark Knight Rises, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring, a great many actors, obviously, right? The reason that Batman loses to Bane in the beginning of the movie is, as Tom Hardy so eloquently put it, Victory has defeated you, Batman.
Victory has defeated you.
And
Yes,
victory
yes.
can be an enemy. Now, that team is full of coaches that know that is a potential problem. But I will say this, based on the rumor that I was talking about, which is from a human being that exists, they got to make sure that their house is in order before they make this run, because I think the only thing that can stop the Insomniacs at this point from repeating again is themselves.
Well, we were talking about that earlier, like you said, and I also feel like this is the last chance for the Northeast to tighten up, buckle down, and show the Vegas guys what we've been proclaiming and saying since they joined the league, that this is our shit and we are the best, when in reality, that's not been the truth.
Not right now, it's not.
Yeah. Well, not for the last 2 seasons, because regardless of what people want to say, the Insomniacs were down 2 championships and they came back and won.
Double
If
digits
that right
twice,
there
absolutely.
doesn't show you the heart, if that doesn't show you the heart of a team and the mentality of those men over there, and I'm going to say men, this is going to be not only their hardest season, but this is going to be also a season where not only the Northeast mentally locks in, because we know what's at stake now. This will probably be the first team that ever three-peats in the league. We all know the U tried that with 2014 and 15, and they lost to us in 16 with the controversial Hail Mary Moon catch. And then Ryan was just saying when we beat them in 2022, when Debo fumbled, that was going to be another three-peat if they're counting the showcase, which, you know, it's neither here or there. People count that. But if it's football, then we're going to count it. So we're going to say the U had two potential chances of three-peating in this league, and they failed twice. So the Insomniacs have a chance to do something that no other team has done since 2007. Or if I'm wrong, Corey, because you're from Saraville, did the Bombers ever three-peat?
Well, let's be clear. In the A7, there hasn't been, and the Bombers, I don't think so, because they won, and then even in Town Beef, that's when
Well, I like that you just said that, 'cause now we're in
SWG,
A6,
right?
Yeah, because now we're in A7, so you know those days are basically irrelevant now, if we want to be honest.
It's like, you know, no, it's not irrelevant, but when there was the NFL and the AFL champ is not the champ, right? But you know, I think CP's right. It's definitely they got the inside track, and again, if they can defeat Victory, which is their biggest opponent right now, I think that they've proven that they can beat the opponents in front of them, especially with time to game plan and with the champions that they have.
And this is what I was arguing about with Kenny, and he was chewing me out earlier. It's not that I'm coming at BIC. What I'm saying was, Scooter is a actual fucking coach. He's an actual coach. So when I'm telling you that you got out coached, and he literally admitted that he got out coached, it's not that I'm taking a shot at you. I'm just telling you what I see, and I just have the balls to tell you what I see.
CP, we're not here to rehash. We're not here to rehash Facebook Lives.
We're just trying to do final thoughts.
No. I'm just letting you know why. I'm letting you guys know why I feel like the Insomniacs are the team to fucking beat, and they are the most organized team in the league.
Chris, Dub?
Go ahead, Chris.
Y'all covered everything. I'm good.
Now I'm glad we got Dub and Chris here.
We going in a total different direction.
You can't come on the show. You can't come on the show.
I have some big questions too.
We just continuing to go forward. So,
bro,
that's all I'm saying.
Don't put up CP3, you ass. That's a weird one. Eric Shuford says respect CP, by the way.
That's what I was trying to put up.
Yeah, you didn't put up the right one. No, but CP, come on, let's hold him accountable.
But listen,
you can't come on the show and start hot taking as we're wrapping up That's crazy.
I'm so sorry. I just put the kids to bed. I'm so sorry, but I have
I
a
feel
few
you. I
questions
feel
about
you on that.
Vegas because we've been hearing about the new and improved force.
That's what the show
And
is about.
I'm so
Bro.
sorry. I always watch.
We
I'll
love
go
you,
back and
but
watch it. Promise.
listen, we love you, but
But
I think let's cable this for next time. Maybe we'll invite you on as a guest, and then you can
Yeah,
just have the whole show.
if you want to come on and we want to go into a discussion, let's not wait until we got a minute left to go on the show to
Yeah,
wrap
this
up.
fucking guy.
Wrap it up to finish off. If you want to have a discussion, bro,
Listen, your
start at the
fucking
beginning of
smoke
the show
alarm's gonna
so
go
we can
off in the
have
back.
that discussion rather than the back end of the damn show. Anyway,
yeah, I got you. I got you next week. My bad.
Dub.
But with that said, special thanks to CP3 for chiming in right as we were getting ready to go off the air. Again, special thanks to Coach Max Smith, who is formerly of the Force, but now dedicating his time to Bonanza High, and definitely wish the Bonanza Bengals all the best of luck with Coach Mack running the defense. But thank you for chiming in on episode number 122. As once again, we are 25 days away from the start of season 11 of the ASNFL. Of course, you can find Corey on the booth and on the field. In the booth on the field. Although hopefully Corey will reveal whatever team he's playing for. Hopefully that will come sooner rather than later. But nonetheless, you can catch Corey, Matt, and Rob at the command center, if you will, for this season when Corey's not playing. You can catch myself and Chris, and hopefully the Asgardian will come out of the Bifrost and rejoin us at Matter Academy. But nonetheless, do the next best thing. Check into asnfl.com to where you can watch all the channels listings in your area to watch this great league that is the American Sevens Football League, starting on March the 16th. For Corey, for Chris, I'm Double A. Thank you to everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week on 123, and we'll see you on the other side of the ball. Thank you, and, well, good night, America.